Hello viewers, well E3 is upon us and now we have the first of our videos here, just a little clip of the show floor, but we're going to take a look at Assetto Corsa Competizione, which we've been looking forward to, coming out later this year. We're just going to have a quick look now at some hot lap footage going around Monza in the Nissan GTR Nismo GT3. So let's just take a look. So you can see the different events that are available. We're going to look at these in 4 separate videos. And obviously the big difference now for those of you that aren't aware is that we now have an improved graphics engine which can now simulate weather and time of day. So big changes. And you can see the Gran Turismo Nissan GTR there, which it's interesting to see the Gran Turismo brand in another game. It's also great to see the car. I mean, look at the effects, the lighting, the sort of reflections. It could be in Gran Turismo itself, it looks so good. As well as a detailed tarmac, really nice to see. And this gives us a nice look at the car. For those of you that want a bit of no comment action, we'll probably have some later in this video, and if not, we will have a separate video with some no comment footage as well, so you can just listen to the engine sounds. But I think what we're showcasing here is just some of the detail in terms of the car models and various improvements, as well as various improvements to detail around the circuits. So our driver's waiting to make a move, and see the chaps around the car there. Again, nice details throughout. This is a PC only release, not going to be coming for consoles, pretty much because the consoles at the moment can't power it effectively. Unless you have a sort of greatly reduced experience on consoles, 30 frames per second, 720p and reduced visual details, probably wouldn't be able to get this game working. The amount of processing, the detail in the physics, whereas the PC gives you that power, that oomph to deliver on all fronts. So racing around Monza, a circuit I use quite a bit myself in terms of testing new equipment, testing new cars. It's a good benchmark circuit, and you know, an event like E3, obviously you're going to be having gamers of all skill levels testing out Assetto Corsa. Generally, I think the first thing that comes to mind is there's a bit more sort of richness in terms of the colour palette being used. We cycle through various different viewpoints. And this really is sort of one of the big games, isn't it? Blancpain, the complete championship. And it shows Assetto Corsa essentially building towards the future in establishing the day-night transition, the weather, improving the physics, improving the car roster, improving the track roster bit by bit. It's going to be interesting to see how it improves. This is still pre-alpha gameplay, as you can see there in the corner, which means there's still a lot of work going into it. So nothing you see here is final. There might be graphical bugs or issues that you might see, but that's commonplace in a build at this stage. I think overall it's really nice to see how it's developing. Driving from outside the car here, not necessarily where most of us would drive Assetto Corsa from. So either way, it appears to be playable. Always difficult when you skip from one view to the next. I do like Monza as a circuit. Has a great atmosphere to it when you're there. You really do still feel that heritage of the circuit. Great fan base, of course, from the Tifosi when you're there for the F1. And that long straight down into the braking zone again. Always picking out quite a precise braking. Just a little bit too late on the brakes there though. Missing the first apex. Compromises your exit. And Curve Grande. So using the bonnet cam now. Again, this always gives a nice field of view around the car. And when you're using triple screens, I do always like being in the car. But if I'm only using a single monitor, I often find the bonnet cam works very well. Simply because in-car restricts so much of your view. It's sort of not really very representative of what you actually see in a car. Using all the curb on the exit, sweeping car to the inside. Nissan GTR. Obviously I've driven a Nissan GTR at Vallelunga next to the Kunos guys, and it was a great experience. The car has a lot of power, very comfortable on the brakes, It has a real feeling of balance to it in terms of traction. You feel you want to push the car more. It was an impressive car to drive, no doubt. And you really did feel the temperature in the tyres as well. You know, the grip levels really changed on the car as you got up to speed. So Assetto Corsa then, we don't have a release date for it yet. It's later this year. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments. We'll be looking at getting a developer interview for you guys as well, and getting feedback to your questions. And the next videos that are going to be coming up are going to be looking at Monza in wet conditions and Spa in wet conditions at least. Don't know what else. We'll wait and see in terms of the videos that are coming. And we'll try our best to get a video from the show floor. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it all comes together. And it's really going to open up the PC community in terms of modding. I don't know what the modding allowance is going to be, whether there's going to be any changes to the modding that's allowed on the game, because it is based on a official series. If not though, certainly it's going to be a dream come true for a lot of modders out there. And then eventually the logical progression to Le Mans in terms of the technology that Kunos has available. But I don't think we're going to see it converted to consoles this gen. I'd be very surprised, but I do see no reason why when we have the next gen consoles in a few years, this game will be a couple of years old, and they'll have no doubt brought more cars, upgraded it, and it will be a fine candidate for conversion to the next generation formats. I think also, you know, we see on board with the helmet cam and the concept of VR. Obviously racing is always amazing, and it just makes you realise just how these games are going to be so amazing in VR once we can get the resolution up a bit. Obviously at the moment we've seen the recent release of the new HTC Vive, but I'm looking forward to the 4K full-on headsets in the next sort of couple of years that are really going to move all of this forward. Hopefully by around 2021 we'll have 4K headsets that are way better, that are able to deliver a lot more in terms of visual fidelity, which is a key for obviously for racing games and that, looking into the distance. Still just missing that first apex, but working his way round nicely. So I'm going to leave you now with a little bit of gameplay, and then I'm going to come back in video part 2 where we're going to look at a bit of Monza in the rain and see how the handling's progressed there as well. Have a little chat about that at its early stage. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.